Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Lone Star Sports Friday Night Wrap-Up Show, coming to you live from the Lasting Live Broadcasting Studios. Of course, I'm Ricky Green, and tonight marks the start of the 5th week of Central Texas high school football. It's October, and fall is in the air. Football taking place all around Central Texas. Let's start out with the 5A division, starting out over in Pflugerville. The Pflugerville Panthers taking on the Westlake Chaparrals tonight. Now, the Panthers coming off a disappointing loss against a honey-hungry Bastrop Bear team last week, losing to the Bears 41-26 up in Bastrop. Now, things don't get much better for Pflugerville this week as the Chaparrals of Westlake come to town. And as we all know, the Westlake Chaparral, a 5A powerhouse team, winning state championships throughout the years, come into Pflugerville Stadium. Coach George Herman and his team trying to rebound off of a disappointing loss and a 2-2 record coming into this game. Not much more better for the Westlake Chaparral, for the Pflugerville Panthers this week, as the Westlake Chaparrals defeat the Pflugerville Panthers by a score of 30-19. Wow. Really hope to see Coach George Herman and the Pflugerville team get their stuff together and come back victorious. Doesn't look like right now that the Panthers of Pflugerville are contending for a district title, nor any type of playoff berth. So we wish Coach George Herman and the Pflugerville Panthers much continued success and much more luck with the way their season is going right now. Moving on, let's talk about the Bulldogs from Hamilton. KCLW, the home of KCLW. Of course, we told you earlier in the season or earlier in the year about the Hamilton Bulldogs, who had not scored all year long. But last week, Hamilton putting their first win in the record books by beating the Moody Bearcats by a score of 23-14. Wow, what a great win for them on last week. Hamilton taking on the Clifton Cubs this week, trying to spoil a homecoming for the Cubs from Clifton. And as it turns out, Clifton, as of last week, coming into this game 2-1, and Hamilton coming into this game 1-3. Well, guess what? The people in Hamilton partied last week as they not only won the game but put up 23 points on the board. Well, people in Hamilton, you have much more to party for once again. The Hamilton Bulldogs win it again, 25-21, making them 2-3 on the year. Boy, it's looking up out there in Bulldog country as quarterback Keaton Muxworthy, number 10, led the charge in a win tonight, as well as Coach David Wright. Boy, I know he's proud of that team. Makes him want to even try to contend for a playoff berth and a district championship. Doesn't look like that is out of sight right now for the Hamilton Bulldogs. So, way to go, Bulldogs. Back here at home, more action in the 5A division. The Conley Cougars at home versus those honey-hungry Bastrop Bears that beat the Pflugerville Panthers last week. The Bears come to town with the record of 3-0. Boy, looks like they're going to be hard to beat. And indeed, Conley coming into this game 1-3 after a loss against a good Austin High team by a score of 36-24. Bastrop being a team very hard to beat for some reason or another. They're an up-and-coming team. Unfortunately, Conley loses at home to that hungry, boy, that is hard to say. I bet you if you tried to say honey-hungry Bears 3 times, you couldn't do it. Let me try it. Honey-hungry Bears, honey-hungry Bears, honey-hungry... Oh, see, I couldn't do it either. You try it at home. When you get it, let me know. But again, the honey-hungry Bears defeat a struggling Conley team at home tonight by a score of 23-19. Coach Howard McMahon trying to get things going over there. One of the key factors of Conley losing this game tonight was it was reported that they had 17 penalties for a total of 135 yards. We also got reports that Conley had ample opportunities to put the ball in the end zone, getting the ball in the red zone many times, time after time, but were not able to capitalize on being in the red zone. And of course, we all know if you can't put any points on the board in the red zone, not going to result in many victories. And that was the case tonight with the Conley Cougars, again losing to the honey-hungry Bastrop Bears by a score of 23-19. And of course, leading the charge for the Conley Cougars is senior quarterback number 16, Jacob Works. Also, junior running back number 20, Spencer Eggleston. And rounding out and leading the defense for the Conley Cougars, a college prospect in number 45, Thomas Curry. He's a senior linebacker. Hopefully we'll see some more wins out of the Conley Cougars on next week. In the 3A divisions, going on to the Green Bay Packers. I'm just kidding. I know you see that on your screen. They have the same logo as the Green Bay Packers, but we're actually talking about Gatesville, the Gatesville Hornets. The 3A team, actually Gatesville, one of the teams in the Lone Star Sports Network, having a bye this week. And the Gatesville Hornets coming into this game 3-1. And they, boy, had a bye this week, and they are not going to be able to rest their bodies long, because next week they have another game coming up. And the, excuse me, I have no information. We are experiencing some technical difficulties here. But, again, on the Lone Star Sports Network, if you just tuned in, you're watching the Friday Night Wrap-Up Show. And we are bringing you a live broadcast from the Lasting Value Studios. We do apologize for the technical difficulties that we're having, but that's live TV. You can expect something to go wrong, but when you are professional,
Lago plays at Academy next week.
and you know, basically, we are back. Our technical man Andrew, you get a golf clap for that, Andrew. And that's what we have here at Lasting Value and the Lone Star Sports Network. Great people, so we do apologize for the technical difficulties. Moving on, as we said, the Gatesville Hornets had a bye this week. And if many of you don't know what bye means, that means you have a bye week, and that means you are actually off that week. You'll hear that on all different levels. You'll hear it on the collegiate level. You'll hear it on the professional level, as well as the high school level, in which we are talking about right now. The Gatesville Hornets last week winning over Waco Conley by a score of 43-25. Gatesville going into that game with a very good record, with a record of 3-1. Head coach Kyle Cooper, and the Hornets being led by number 7, a senior quarterback, Dominique Moore. The Gatesville Hornets will be taking on. Do we have who Gatesville will be taking on next week? We got that information for you.
Yep. Gatesville will be playing Whitney away at Whitney.
At Whitney. Gatesville, we just got the report that Gatesville will be taking on Whitney at Whitney. So the Hornets going into Whitney with a 3-1 record. We'll give you the reports next week on how the outcome of that game was. Now, week in and week out, myself and Carl Ross broadcast the Lago Vista Vikings football games, and what a joy and what an honor and a privilege it is to bring you those games. Again, Lago Vista in our circuit of teams having a bye this week. Lago Vista coming off a big win last week against a Lexington team who spoiled their playoff chances last week, and of course, sweet revenge for the Lago Vista Vikings as they annihilated the Eagles from Lexington by a score of 29-6 at Jerry Sizemore Field out in Lago Vista, Texas. And again, sweet revenge as a result, the Lexington Eagles spoil their chances of getting into the playoff by 1 point. Lago Vista on a roll this season, trying to get into the playoffs by improving their record of that win last week of 3-1. And Coach Alan Hare, the 8th-year athletic director and head coach, trying to bring some satisfaction of getting back into the playoffs. Now, the Lago Vista Vikings are led by senior running back number 40, Jason Cormier. Jason Cormier embarking on a season trying to reach the 1,000-yard mark. He has racked up over 700 yards with still 5 games to go. We're going to keep an eye out on number 40, Jason Cormier, who racks up these 100-yard games week in and week out. Also, his counterpart, number 7, Brady Land, is a big threat in that Lago Vista backfield. You never know who's going to get the ball, and once one of these guys get the ball, it could spell disaster for you if you don't watch out for these guys. And, of course, Jonathan Powell, number 2, one of the quarterbacks that Coach Hare substitutes in and out, keeping the defense off balance as he runs that misdirection offense week in and week out, putting up yards. As we told you the first week against the Regents, Lago Vista putting up 484 yards on the ground alone, and they've racked up many more yards, almost comparable to that week in and week out. So what an amazing running game and a stellar attack from the running game and the Lago Vista Vikings. One more player to mention with the Lago Vista Vikings is a junior wingback, punt return defensive back, a kid by the name of Jamarcus Johnson, number 23. This kid is big in size. He's about 6'2", 190 pounds. Really being looked at by some Division I colleges. And one of the reasons he's being looked at so closely for these colleges to be able to get a chance at getting this kid is, first of all, the kid's smart. He knows the game of football, and he also is a very, very athletic kid. Of course, we talked about his stature. He's about 6'1", 6'2", about 185, 190 pounds. So, he's a threat anytime he gets the ball, whether it's in the air on a pass, whether he's taking the ball out of the backfield, or whether he's receiving it on a punt or a kickoff. So Jamarcus Johnson, one of the highlights of the Lago Vista team, and of course the 3-1 Lago Vista Vikings go into Academy next week. Academy came into Lago Vista last year, beating Lago Vista in an overtime game. Of course, Lago Vista practically giving that game away because of turnovers and penalties. And of course, turnovers and penalties will always lose games for you. So we're going to keep a very, very close eye on the Lago Vista team and Coach Alan Hare, who's doing a great job over there. Carl and I broadcast those games week in and week out. You can log on to www.LoneStarSportsNetwork.com and click on the logo of your favorite team and listen to the game of your choice. Of course, Carl and I broadcasting the Lago Vista Vikings football games week in and week out. Now, the Granbury Pirates, a new addition to the Lone Star Sports Network, are away next week, or they are away tonight. They were taking on Arlington Seguin Cougars, and both of those teams go into that game 0-3. So what a joy it will be for whoever wins that game tonight. And, Granbury hadn't got a score on that tonight, but we will give you an updated score as it comes to us. Again,